Zeus had already overthrown his father. He had already survived the swallowing of his siblings. He had already broken the power of the Titans and claimed the sky as his domain. The storm was his weapon. The thunderbolt was his signature. No god stood above him. And yet a prophecy threatened to undo everything. It did not speak of rebellion from below. It did not speak of Titans rising again. It spoke of a son who would be born to Zeus, a son who would surpass his father, a son who would overthrow him, just as Zeus had overthrown Cronus. Within the first years of his reign, Zeus faced a decision that would define the order of Olympus. To prevent the prophecy from coming true, he swallowed the goddess who carried the child. That act, meant to secure his power forever, set in motion consequences he could not fully control. This is the story of Metis, the prophecy of succession, and the birth of Athena. Before Zeus became king, succession defined the cosmos. Uranus was overthrown by Cronus, Cronus was overthrown by Zeus. In Hesiod's theogony, this pattern is not coincidence. It is the structure of divine power. Each ruler falls to his offspring. Cronus had tried to stop that pattern. Warned that one of his children would overthrow him, he swallowed each newborn as soon as it was born. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon vanished into their father's body. Only Zeus survived because Rhea hid him and gave Cronus a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes. Zeus later forced Cronus to disgorge his siblings. He led them in war against the Titans. He defeated them and claimed the sky. He knew exactly how prophecy works. He was living proof. Soon after his victory, Zeus took as his first wife Metis. In Hesiod's account, Metis is not merely a goddess. She is the personification of cunning intelligence, strategy, and wise counsel. She had aided Zeus before, even helping him devise the plan that forced Cronus to vomit up his swallowed children. Metis was not a minor figure. She was power in another form. Then came the warning. In the theogony, Gaia and Uranus reveal to Zeus that Metis will bear 2 children. First, a daughter equal in strength and wisdom to her father. Then, a son who would become king of gods and men. The pattern would repeat. Zeus would be replaced. The central turning point arrives here. Zeus makes a choice that cannot be undone. Instead of waiting for the birth, instead of risking another succession, he acts immediately. He swallows Metis whole. Hesiod states it directly. Zeus deceives her with cunning words and swallows her into his own body. She is alive inside him. The prophecy is interrupted before the second child can be born. Zeus believes he has solved the problem at its source. Cause and effect begin to tighten. Metis had already conceived the first child. The daughter prophesied to equal her father in wisdom and strength is already forming. By swallowing Metis, Zeus does not prevent this birth. He relocates it. Inside Zeus, Metis continues her work. Later traditions elaborate that she begins crafting armor for her unborn child within Zeus's body. The hammering and forging take place inside the skull of the king of gods. Zeus cannot remove her. He cannot undo the swallowing. He can only endure what he has done. Pain follows. According to Hesiod and later retellings, Zeus begins to suffer an unbearable headache. The pressure builds. The pain does not subside. It intensifies. He cannot cure himself. He cannot expel what he has taken in. In many versions, Zeus calls upon Hephaestus, the divine craftsman. In some accounts, it is Prometheus. In others, Hermes or even a lesser-known figure. The core event remains consistent. Someone splits Zeus's head open with an axe. From the opening in his skull, Athena emerges fully formed. She is not an infant. She does not cry. She steps out as an armed goddess, wearing helmet and armor, holding spear and shield. The first part of the prophecy is fulfilled. Zeus has prevented the birth of the son, but he has given rise to a daughter equal in wisdom and warcraft. Athena becomes the goddess of strategic war, intelligence, and civic order. She stands beside Zeus, not against him. In this, Zeus's strategy partially succeeds. But the swallowing changes the structure of divine power. Metis, absorbed into Zeus, becomes internalized wisdom. Hesiod notes that Zeus carries her within himself, and thus he is never without counsel. This is not symbolic invention, it is explicit in the tradition. Zeus incorporates her intelligence. He does not merely imprison it. By swallowing Metis, Zeus eliminates the possibility of a rival son and consolidates wisdom into his own being. The immediate threat is neutralized, yet the broader pattern of fear remains. Zeus's act is not isolated, it reflects the same logic Cronus once used. Zeus swallows the mother to prevent the birth of a challenger. The method differs, the motive is identical, and Zeus does not stop with Metis. Later myths record his relationship with Thetis, the sea nymph. In some traditions, Zeus desires her, but a prophecy warns that Thetis will bear a son greater than his father. Zeus withdraws. He arranges her marriage to the mortal Peleus instead. That union produces Achilles. Here again, prophecy shapes divine action. Zeus avoids another potential successor by refusing to father the child at all. The fear of replacement defines his reign. Returning to Metis, the consequences of her swallowing ripple outward. Athena's birth changes Olympus permanently. She becomes one of the most powerful Olympians, a patron of heroes, cities, and lawful order. She sides with Zeus in conflicts, reinforcing his rule. Yet her very existence confirms the prophecy's accuracy. If the first child came true exactly as foretold, then the second could have as well. Zeus's action did not invalidate prophecy. It prevented its completion by extreme intervention. Another tradition complicates Metis's fate. In some later accounts, she is not destroyed but continues to exist within Zeus, advising him from inside. This preserves her identity as divine intelligence. But she is no longer autonomous. She does not act independently in myth thereafter. Her power is absorbed. The causal chain continues to tighten around succession. Zeus's paranoia surfaces again in other myths. When Hera gives birth to Hephaestus without Zeus, some versions describe Zeus casting the child from Olympus. In others, Hephaestus is born lame. The family structure remains unstable. When Zeus hears of possible threats, he responds decisively. But Zeus's solution introduces something new. He does not swallow the child, he swallows the source. This act prevents the cycle from completing. No son of Zeus ever overthrows him in Greek myth. His reign endures. The Olympian order stabilizes. That stability comes at a cost. Metis ceases to exist as an independent goddess. The possibility of succession through her line is erased. The prophecy's second half is silenced before it can manifest. The irreversible turning point remains the swallowing itself. Once Zeus consumes Metis, he cannot reverse it. He cannot restore her. He cannot release her as Cronus once released his children. The narrative does not record such an event. She remains within him permanently. Athena's birth confirms that divine law still operates. Prophecy does not fail. It adapts to intervention. Some later writers emphasize Zeus's cunning in outmaneuvering fate. Others imply that fate itself allowed this outcome. Hesiod does not frame Zeus as defying destiny. Instead, Zeus acts upon knowledge provided by primordial powers. He chooses prevention, and prevention reshapes Olympus. Athena becomes Zeus's favored child. She springs from his head, not from a mother in the ordinary sense. Her loyalty aligns firmly with him. In the Iliad, she supports Zeus's broader order even when other gods quarrel. The potential rival son never appears. The line of succession halts. But Zeus is not overthrown. The cosmos enters a new phase. But the logic of fear remains embedded in myth. Zeus's many liaisons produce numerous children, yet none are allowed to rise against him. When challenges arise, they are crushed early. In some Orphic traditions, Zeus himself swallows other deities, including Phanes, to consolidate cosmic power. These later cosmologies amplify the theme already present in Metis's story. Zeus absorbs potential rivals rather than allowing them to exist independently. Power becomes internalized, yet no myth records Metis's return. No version restores her. The swallowing stands as a permanent act. The prophecy that threatened Zeus is never completed, but it is never disproven either. The first child is born exactly as foretold. The second is prevented only through immediate and decisive action. The pattern of generational overthrow, so central to the earlier ages, stops with Zeus not because fate vanishes, but because Zeus intervenes before it can unfold. The storm god secures his throne through consumption. He does not trust time. He does not wait. He eliminates possibility at its root. And so the age of Zeus continues without successor. Metis remains within him, Athena stands beside him. The threatened son is never born. The cycle of divine overthrow ends not with reconciliation, not with peace, but with an act that cannot be undone. Zeus swallowed a goddess to stop a prophecy, and from that moment forward, Olympus rests on a throne secured by fear of what might have been.